The state legislature is scheduled to wrap up business today. King 5's Drew Mickelson has been covering the session for us all year. So, Drew, what accomplishments are legislators feeling good about?
Well, Christine, it depends who you talk to. You know, the Democrats control the majority here, both the House and the Senate and the governor's office, so they're the ones who have more reason to celebrate. The seventh time proved to be the charm for those pushing for a ban on guns defined as assault weapons. Past attempts at a ban on the sale or manufacture of more than 60 different kinds of guns repeatedly failed here in Olympia in recent years. But this year, Democrats had enough support to get that bill passed. Gun rights advocates say the ban violates the Constitution, and you can expect a lawsuit to challenge it shortly after the governor signs it into law. Legislators also passed a bill requiring gun owners take and pass a safety course. On Thursday, Governor Jay Inslee signed a bill that abolishes the death penalty in the state of Washington. Lots of folks were celebrating that. The state hasn't put anyone to death since 2010, and the state Supreme Court invalidated the law back in 2018, finding that it was racially biased. But legislators wanted to remove it from the books, and they did, thanks to the support of the Seattle-King County NAACP and its president, Gerald Hankerson. Hankerson was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole when he was a teenager. He spent more than 20 years in prison, but after witnesses to his crime changed their stories, he was released in 2009.
Study after study have revealed that how people of color are most likely to get the death penalty than other people. And to finally remove that noose from around our neck, that's substantial, particularly here in Washington State.
So, Drew, the state's housing crisis got a lot of attention this year. What bills ended up getting passed to help with affordable and low-income housing?
Yeah, adding more homes, dealing with those who are experiencing homelessness. That was something that was one of the few issues that Democrats and Republicans could agree on and could work together on.
More bills passed to help increase the supply of housing than in any legislative session in the history of our state. Period, full stop.
That's Lieutenant Governor Denny Heck. He presides over the Senate and only votes if there's a tie, so he doesn't get involved in the debates. But he says the housing bills that passed were some of the most important pieces of legislation this session. He says new laws to prohibit cities from having only single-family zone neighborhoods, allowing for more duplexes and triplexes, quadplexes. That'll get more people off the streets and will lower the price of real estate. He says the high cost of living has hurt the state.
People have to move farther away from work, so they have to build more roads, more stormwater runoff, more tailpipe solution. People have to defer buying their home so that they have actually less equity in their home at the end of their working life. In so many ways does the absence of housing impact the standard of living and the quality of life of people.
So, Drew, those are some of the big issues legislators tackled. What are some of the lesser-known bills that we should know about?
Yeah, you know, they pass hundreds of bills here every year, and they don't all deal with multi-billion-dollar budgets. Some are just important little pet projects. Others are a big deal to certain constituents. And that was the case of little Hugo Esterhay. Remember him? He is the youngest and potentially the most influential lobbyist we saw this session. Doctors diagnosed Hugo with mild to moderate hearing loss when he was 3. But his family says he has done well in school because of his hearing aids. But insurance companies don't have to cover the costs of those, and they can run tens of thousands of dollars. So Hugo's parents contacted their legislators to make insurance companies cover up to $5,000 for hearing aids. That bill passed and is now awaiting the governor's signature. The state is finally going to get its own official dinosaur. A 4th grade class made the request of lawmakers back in 2019, and while it took a few years, this year the bill to make the Sushisaurus the official dinosaur passed. Also, the legislature is going to be a little more transparent, at least the legislative building, that is. Friday, we learned that the old skylights that used to be above the chambers of the House and the Senate will be restored. They were part of the original plans when the Capitol was built in the 1920s, but in the 1970s, they were covered up with metal due to safety and concerns about leaks.
I think the symbolic dimensions of bringing natural light into this space are tremendous. It would materially evoke I think the ideals of democracy, lightness and transparency, so I think it would be lovely.
The backers of that bill say those skylights should be back in place by 2028, which is the Capitol building's 100th anniversary. And even without those skylights, it's been our honor to shed some light on what happens inside that building for not only you, Christine, but all of our viewers here on Sundays.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you so much, Drew. It has been such an insightful journey this past session. And by the way, if you want to see Drew's reporting from the Capitol, just text the word session to 206-448-4545 and we'll send you a link.